The Vineyard at Painted Moon by Susan Mallery. Performed by Tanya Eby. A note before we begin. For a wine pairing guide and a couple recipes, don't forget to download the accompanying enhancement PDF from your audiobook provider, or go directly to http://harperaudio.hc.com/The Vineyard at Painted Moon. 1.
Not that what you're wearing isn't great, but the party starts in an hour.
Mackenzie Dienes looked up from the grapevine she'd been studying, her mind still on the tight clusters of small, hard grapes that would, come late September, be ripe and sweet and ready for harvest. Between now and then, she would monitor their progress, willing them to greatness and protecting them from danger, be it mold, weather, or hungry deer. She blinked at the man standing in front of her, tall and familiar, with an easy smile and broad, capable shoulders. "Party?" she asked, letting her thoughts of the vineyards go and remembering that, yes, indeed, it was the evening of the annual solstice party, hosted by the Barcelona family. As she was a Barcelona, by marriage if not by name, she would be expected to attend. Wanted to attend, she reminded herself. It was always a good time, and Stephanie, her sister-in-law, worked hard to make it a perfect night. "The party," she repeated, her voice slightly more panicked this time, then glanced down at herself. "Crap, what time is it?" Reese, her husband, shook his head.
"You really don't listen when I talk, do you? We have an hour. You'll be fine."
She pulled off her gloves and shoved them into the left front pocket of her coveralls, then stepped behind Reese and gave him a little push toward the flatbed truck he'd driven out to the West Vineyards. "You say that because all you have to do is shower and get dressed. I have to do the girl thing."
"Which takes you maybe 10 minutes. He put his arm around her as they hurried toward the truck. "Happy with the grapes?"
"I think so," she said, glancing toward the healthy vines growing on either side of them. "We might have to do some thinning in a couple of weeks, but so far so good." As they slid onto the bench seat of the old truck, he glanced at her. She smiled, knowing there was a 50-50 chance he would call her out on her thinning statement. He was, after all, the vineyard manager. Technically, all the decisions about the vineyard were made by him with her input, but not her instruction. As winemaker, she managed the grapes from the moment they were picked until the wine was bottled. But at Belle Pré, areas of responsibility often overlapped. Theirs was a large, boisterous family in which everyone had opinions. Not that Mackenzie listened to a lot of other ideas when it came to her wines, although, as Reese often pointed out, she was very free offering hers when it came to his work. He drove along the dirt path that circled the vineyard, stopping by her truck. She slid into the cab, then followed him back to the family compound. The main road leading into Walla Walla was thick with tourists who wanted to enjoy the longest day of the year. She merged into the slow-moving traffic, doing her best to keep from glancing at the clock on the truck's dashboard as she inched along. Vineyards stretched out on either side of the road, flat on the left and rising toward the hills on the right. Bright green leaves topped sturdy trunks that had been carefully trained to grow exactly as she wanted them to. The rows were long and neat, and the spaces between them were filled with native grasses that held in moisture and protected the roots from the heat. Looking at her healthy crop kept her mind off the fact that she and Reese were going to be desperately late. 20 minutes later, she followed him off the highway onto a less crowded secondary road, a back way home. 5 minutes after that, they parked the trucks by the processing buildings behind the big tasting room. Reese had already claimed one of the golf carts the family used to get around. She slid in next to him, and they took off toward the center of the property. Belle Pré Winery and the surrounding land had been in the Barcelona family for nearly 60 years. Reese and his siblings were third generation. The original main house had been updated several times. When Reese and Mackenzie had married, Barbara, Reese's mother, had suggested they build themselves a house close to hers, rather than commute from town. Eager to stay in the good graces of her new mother-in-law, Mackenzie had agreed. A large 2-story home had been built. Barbara and Mackenzie had decorated every room. The act of choosing every
Sample complete. Ready to continue?